Hi, I wanted to make a video about my two cars. So my two cars are both Lexuses, and I guess the first thing on your mind is, how can an unemployed poor old person afford two Lexuses? So that's what this video is about, how I actually managed to afford these two and what my plans are with these cars. So stay tuned, and I hope you find this interesting. So I've had 4 Lexuses now. The first one I ever bought was a IS 350. I actually had no idea what they were, but I've had a lot of cars in the past, and just about all of them ended up being money sinks. You know, just spending money and money and money on service, and all these little things go wrong with it, and they cost a fortune. I did have a Mercedes when I was younger, and I could afford it back then, but I definitely couldn't afford one now. The service on those things back in the 1990s was about $1,000 a service. It's just over the top expensive. It was a nice car to drive though. Mercedes service people, I guess, weren't the best educated, because I had no air conditioning in the car for a couple of years because they actually didn't know how to fix it. And then when I sold the car, the guy actually worked out within 10 minutes it was just a faulty relay, and he actually, funny enough, he actually had a spare one with him, so yeah, he got it working straight away. Yeah, so that's what prompted me to get a Lexus to start with. I just got tired of unreliable cars, spending a fortune on service, and the very last car I had before I purchased my first Lexus was a Citroen. So, nice looking car, but boy, did it have never ending problems. Always costing money, and the dealer, they knew it was a special car and a specialized car, you know, with not a wide distribution, and they would charge you for everything. So I purchased a car that only had 40,000 kilometers on the clock, and I only paid 5,000 for it. So I guess that's a bit of an indication of what was coming. So I only had it for about a year, but within that year I had to get the timing chain replaced twice. Had oil seal leaks. It would burn oil like nothing. I constantly having to put a litre of oil in every couple of thousand k's. Sometimes the computer would just die, it would just conk out, and the car would just limp around. So you would accelerate and nothing would happen. So it would just idle around. And they told me it was the oxygen sensor, which just so happened to be $650 plus labor, you know, just for one little sensor. Well, I didn't get that, and the problem went away. It sort of come and go, so no one really knew what the problem was. And then after that we went for a drive in the country, and in this country there's the roads are pretty rough, especially inland. So I actually drove over a piece of wire out near Gundawindi, so that's pretty much out there, and it punctured a hole in the fuel tank. So I actually had to drive all the way to... I actually didn't realize at the time there was a hole. I could smell it, but we couldn't actually see it, and when we stopped the car and looked, nothing was leaking, so it must have been sloshing around and just dribbling when you hit bumps. But boy, it felt like driving a dangerous car. So I actually took it to the closest Citroen dealer, which was in Tamworth, and they said they would have to order a fuel tank from France, and the fuel tanks for those cars was about $2,500. So it was all these type of expenses. And then also on the way back, I got a stain chip in the window, and that was a fortune too for that glass. So it's just, I just couldn't get rid of it quick enough. So then I started researching what are the most reliable cars, and then everywhere I looked it was either the Hyundai Genesis or the Lexus. So I started looking for Lexuses. So, and once I got my first, once I test drove the first one I had, which was an IS350, I only drove around the block and I straight away said to my wife, let's buy this. The car was so smooth, so responsive, you could feel the engine was super balanced in it. And for all those people who say that Lexuses are an upmarket Toyota, yes, in a way they are, but the engines are made in a different factory. Even though it's the same engine, the engines are made in a different factory with much better metals and much finer tolerances, because I had driven some V6 Toyotas and they felt like driving a boat compared to the Lexus. So they would shake, they would shudder. The engine was definitely not smooth. The engine on the Lexus is smooth as. I mean, this car's running now. Can you hear it? I bet you can't. It's as smooth as anything. I mean, nothing is vibrating at all. It's just the faintest touch. So now that I've had 4 Lexuses, I haven't had any real problems with any of them except maintenance items. So I've had a few bigger maintenance items on this car, so let me show you the car. Oh, here she is. It's a Lexus GS 450H. So it's a 3.5 litre V6 with hybrid capabilities. So it's got a big battery in it. So how old do you think this car is? The paint is in perfect condition still. It's got beautiful paint. It's probably, the video is not going to show it up, but it's got lots of little speckles in it, metallic speckles. So this car is almost 20 years old. And if you notice, when I started the car, it's got 230,000 kilometers on it. Drives like a dream. No rattles whatsoever. Smooth as anything. Just really pleasant to drive. I mean, look at the leather seats in this 20-year-old car. I don't even use seat covers because it doesn't need them. I mean, just beautiful. So the interior in this car is called what's called ash. So this is bird's eye maple apparently, but it's been stained to an ash colour. Then it's got matching ash trim on the doors here, and then this here, this colour here, it's actually the seats. They're actually grey. They're not beige or white or cream. So I'm not sure if the camera's going to actually show that they're actually grey. So I can't show you much in the back seat because I just put the dog in here. Hey boy. No intention of coming out. He likes the air conditioning. So when I bought this car, so let me take the cover off. So that's the engine. So let's go sit back in the car. It's going to be 35 here today, so it's hot. It's already hot. So I got this car for 14,000, and the only reason I actually considered it is the previous owner had just changed their hybrid battery in it. So, and I actually got a receipt for it, and I actually checked at Lexus, and they actually did change it. So it was actually done at Lexus at a cost of about $4,000. So the car did have one problem when I got it, and that was the check engine light. It kept coming off and on and off and on, and the guy who sold it to me was a mechanic, and he assured me that there was nothing wrong with it, and the car did drive really good even with that engine light on. It seemed to get quite good economy, so I thought, well, this is a good buy, you know, I can fix it up later. So I bought the car, and then one of the first things I did is I went to get it serviced at Lexus, because I had no idea what this guy had been doing with the car. So when I took it to Lexus, this is probably more than a month after I bought the car, so I had no comeback. They told me that this car was a piece of garbage, and it had a lot of problems. They wouldn't actually give me any detail about the problems, but all they told me was it's leaking coolant, it's leaking oil, and it's not roadworthy. And that's all they would tell me, and Lexus basically washed their hands off it, and they weren't interested in helping me any further. So this is Lexus of Kedron, so I've found in hindsight that there are a real bunch of snobs there. So if you got an older Lexus, they're going to look down on you. They just want to service the pretty boy 5-year-old Lexuses, you know, the easy jobs. So anyhow, I went and found myself an independent mechanic, because I wasn't going to take it there anymore. And long story short was, this guy I bought the car from, who was a mechanic, looked like he was some home mechanic. So he changed the water pump in this car, and it looks like he used the wrong type of gasket. He used a paper gasket instead of a metallic gasket, and that's the reason why it was leaking coolant. So and the guy explained to me that you can't really use that pump again, because there's a chance you might crack the housing, you know, just put a microfracture in it or something like that. So I went and got a new water pump. So I didn't get an original Lexus one. I got a Gates water pump, which is also a good Japanese water pump at about half the price. And then, so that was that problem solved. That was about $700, so not too bad for a luxury car. And then the oil leak, it's a fairly common problem with these older cars. It's just I just need a new valve cover gasket. I mean, no big deal, but that costs about $500 to change, because as you saw with the engine, it's a hybrid, so you have to unwire a lot of stuff to be able. It's a big job to change the valve cover gasket. So after those two things, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the car, except the engine light kept coming off and on. And eventually, after about 6 months, the check hybrid light was on all the time. So then I started thinking, oh, I need to get rid of this car. There might be something more serious than I thought, and no one could actually give me a definitive answer on what the problem was. So then, at this stage, I thought, well, I'm going to put the car up for sale, and I'll just give disclosure that, you know, there's a check engine light on, but the car, you know, the car drives fine. It's really smooth. It doesn't drive like it's out of tune or anything. So then, because I had, for those of you who are new to my channel, I actually had access to my super, and I and my Super only lasted about 4 years, but with the last of the Super I used it to buy a better car, and I wanted to get one that was more economical, because this car is a big V6 and it's a heavy car. It's 2.3 tons, and the economy wasn't great. You know, it was like 7 point something litres per 100 k's on the highway. So I wanted something that was much more economical. To be honest, I couldn't afford a newer Lexus at all, so then I started researching imports. I should also add too, when this car came out, it was, I looked it up, it was 137,000 back in the mid 2000s. So this is an expensive car, but believe it or not, maintenance on this is super cheap. It's about the same price as a Toyota, because nothing really breaks on these cars. I know this video is a bit off topic for a channel talking about ageism, but I guess this channel is slowly turning into more of a channel about the lifestyles of the old and poor, isn't it? So, of which ageism is one of the leading factors that actually cause that. So instead of talking about the cause, I'm now talking about the symptoms. So hang in there, I'll keep talking about this stuff. So being almost 20 years old, this car is not built for economy, it's built for performance. So the hybrid part of the car actually assists the motor in getting more performance. So this car is actually quicker, slightly quicker than the 4.3 litre V8 version of this. So I think it does 0 to 100 in 5.2 seconds, so it's quick. But when you're just pottering around town, you know, the motor will switch off and it'll drive on battery, and I think that's where the big savings are, is either doing highway travel or short distance pottering around town in peak hour traffic. Then it would be quite economical. So this car is quite sedate until... So this car really wakes up when you put it in power mode. At the moment it's just in hybrid mode. But when you put it in power mode, it actually utilizes the electronic motor as well as the engine. So you can do really quick starts in this car. And this button here, this car has electronic shock absorbers, so you can adjust the ride quality. You can make it hard or soft, and it still functions like new pretty much. And yes, it still has a cassette player. How's that for old? And a navigation system. The disc for it is in the glove box. It actually uses a DVD disc. So I found a Lexus forum website where someone actually made available a copy of the latest navigation map DVD, because Lexus like to charge you about $450, I noticed. So I got upgraded to the latest version for free. Anyway, enough talking about this car. Let's go look at the other car. Needs me to verify the key. Hang on a sec. So this is the other car. As you can see, it's quite different to the other car. Black leather interior, much newer car. So let's get this out and we can have a look at it. Yeah, so the story with this car, I used the last of my super to buy this. This is a 2018 Lexus HS. So it had 80,000 kilometers on it when I got it, so it's up to 88 now. And the main reason I got this is I was getting a bit worried about the engine light, which was intermittent when I got it, to being on all the time, and some super expensive repair coming down the road. And because we now live in the country, it was actually getting quite expensive to drive my wife to the train station, which is a 40k drive, so that's 80 kilometers a day, so it was getting quite expensive. So I wanted to get the most economical car that I could get, and I found this car. And this car gets fantastic mileage. If I take the back way to drop my wife up to work, which is quite a windy, hilly road, I get about 5.5 litre per 100k. If I drive on the normal highway, like a flat highway, flat and straight, I get about 4.6 litre per 100 kilometre, which is pretty outstanding for a Lexus. I might add, I can't afford an Australian 2018 Lexus, they're too expensive. So what I could afford was, I found this car. This is an import, so a Japanese import. So Japanese imports are much cheaper than the local cars, and it's got all the compliance plates and everything. I mean, nothing wrong with this car. And the first thing I bet you're thinking, it's an import, no one's going to service it. You're wrong. Lexus have serviced it, and they said they'll service it, because the drive chain on this is a Camry hybrid. So if you can imagine a Camry hybrid with a Lexus body and interior and suspension, so that's pretty much it. So the mechanics there are quite familiar with the mechanics of this car anyway, even though not the body. So how much do you think I paid for this car? 2018 Lexus. I have to tell you, there were a few other Lexus HSs for sale, but none of them were fully featured, and this one is. So it's got heated and cooled seats. It's got the mouse control here. It's got navigations on an SD card. You can put your music on another one, and some pretty quirky Japanese music. Anyhow, enough of that. So this is the Lexus HS. $2.5 litre hybrid, front wheel drive. Having two hybrids, I can see the big improvements in hybrid technology over, over a decade. Difference between these two cars. This one brakes mostly just using the electric motor, so the brakes hardly even ever get to work. I can go down to Toowoomba, the steep descent from Toowoomba down to Brisbane, which is maybe a 400-metre drop. I can go down there purely just engine braking with the electric motor. I hardly even have to touch the brakes. So, bit of a different look. So I've got to say one good thing about Japanese imports. The Japanese really look after their cars. So there is not a single scratch on this car, not a single chip in the paint. The wheels here, there's no gutter rash at all on any of them. The other cars got quite a bit, so I guess the previous driver couldn't drive. Now it's even got things like the sticky tape for these things. Is... Oh hi! No, you can stay in the car. You know, they're still on the car here. So one special thing that this car has, well they both have, is radar cruise control. And once you get used to it, you won't go back. So basically this is a cruise control that follows the car in front of you. So you know, when you're on cruise control you get this annoying driver that slows down and speeds up, and then you have to keep adjusting your cruise control or just turn it off. Well, this will just follow the car. So it'll automatically brake, it'll automatically accelerate, and you can adjust the distance for which you follow the car. And the big selling feature this car has, I'm not sure if you can see it, it's got a heads up display, so you can see over there there's a 0. So when you're driving you can actually see the speed that you're doing in the window. These panels here on the steering wheel, they're touch sensitive, so when you move your fingers over them, you see that comes up, so you can actually see what you're touching. And also when you put the navigation on, it'll show arrows there next to the speed limit, and it'll also show it on the display here as well. So let's have a look inside this one. So this is a much cheaper car than the other one. The other one is a pretty much top of the line luxury car. This is just a regular Lexus, I guess. You can't see it in this video, but the colour on this car is a colour called Pearl. Apparently it's one of the most expensive and difficult paints to paint. It's actually white, and then it's painted a second time with microscopic mica on top, so you probably can't see it, but if you've ever seen an oyster, you know that silvery white on the inside. That's pretty much what it looks like. You probably can't even see it. Yeah, so here's this engine. Nice and clean. Okay, so now it comes down to the crunch point. What's my dilemma? Well, my dilemma is I can't afford both of them and I needed to sell one, so I thought, well, I'm going to put this up for sale. And because of that check engine light, I could not get any serious buyers, and all I got was ridiculous lowball offers and time wasters. I decided I'm going to try and get this engine light fixed once and for all. So I started googling around Toowoomba for mechanics, and I started looking for ones that have 5-star ratings. So I found one. It's called Range Automotive. So they're based in Toowoomba. So I took the car up there and he had a look, and he got his friend who was an auto electrician to come over and have a look. And you know what the problem was? The most stupid problem. It was because he actually printed out what the problem was. The engine light is a thing called a camshaft correlation. So the crankshaft and the camshaft was very slightly out of time. I mean, I'm talking, microseconds out of timing. So, and that would throw the warning code up. And this whole engine needs to run. There's 5 sensors on top of this engine, which the computer monitors and adjusts. This thing's got variable timing, so it adjusts its timing that way. So this same mechanic I bought the car from, who put the wrong gasket in the water pump, also slightly bent one of the pins on the sensor, so it wasn't getting a good connection, and that's why it was off and on and off and on. So it took them a few hours to find it, so it was a couple of $100. So they found it and fixed it, and they found also some of the wiring harness around it was a bit loose, probably from this idiot mechanic also doing that. So I've been driving it for a month since then, and it's been perfect. And first thing I noticed straight off the bat once he fixed the wiring for that sensor is the fuel economy. I mean, the fuel economy is so good in this car now. For a 2.3 ton car that's 20 years old, I get about 6 litre per 100k on the highway, which for this type of car is fantastic economy. So I asked the wife, which one now that this one runs great, should we keep this one now and sell that one? So I asked the wife, and the wife said, "I know, I like the old car." And I said, "Well, I like the old car too." And the dog actually likes the old car better as well, mainly because it's so smooth inside. This car it's got a more sporty tuned suspension on it, so it's quite a firm ride. So it's fun if you like driving, but being an old person, I actually like the softer ride better. So there you have it. So this car, well, I should say in the end, I paid $24,000 for this car. If I were to buy an Australian Lexus with the same year and mileage, I would probably be paying about $36,000 or plus. If I was to buy this model in a 2018, I'd probably be looking at 80 or 90,000, I guess, almost up to 100,000. Yeah, so that's how a unemployed poor old person who hasn't worked in almost 5 years manages to afford to buy 2 Lexuses. So this car's up for sale in carsales.com. So if you're interested in this type of car, you'll be doing me a big favour, and I'm sure you're not a time waster like most of the people who come around who actually don't know what they want. So I can assure you this car is absolutely faultless. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I mean, just look at the seats on this. It's semi-aniline leather. It's like new. It actually even smells like a new car in here. It's got that smell still. And he's very respectful of the car. He doesn't chew anything. He doesn't scratch anything. He sits nice and quiet. He's a good boy. Yeah, so if you're interested in the car, please get in contact with me. So this is a Lexus HS 250H. And it is serviceable in Australia and by Lexus. And you can see here, I've just had it serviced by Lexus and they found no faults in the car. and you can see there's a little sticker showing that I've had it serviced. Well, I hope that was interesting to someone. So I hope I sell this car soon because I need the money, and I'll put a link for the advertisement for this car in the description. Thanks for watching.